and welcome. You are watching Eagle News America. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Ace Ramirez, coming to you from Washington, D.C. Today is September 30th, 2020. Tonight we have updates from several of our correspondents in the U.S. and Canada. Thomas Lightness in Edmonton, Alberta.
Pandemic pessimism prevalent in Canada.
I'm Lynn Ramos in Washington, D.C.
First presidential debate draws mixed reactions.
Milo Simbulan in Swarthmore, Pennsylvania.
The Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture and the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, Mid-Atlantic region team up to support measures in sustaining healthy farms, clean water, and food security.
May Ann Manzano Guerzon in Sicklerville, New Jersey.
New Jersey Department of Health unveils new COVID-19 dashboard for in-school transmission.
Summer Guerra in Florida reports about Pensacola residents recounting their experience with Hurricane Sally and highlight the importance of communities banding together. Jessica Isidro in Houston, Texas.
Houston Mayor authorizes police officers cite and release policy and celebrates National Literacy Month with Drive Up for Literacy book distribution.
Michael Hudson in Everett reports about a warmer than normal weather forecast for Washington and a possible aurora borealis sighting this week. Frendel Feheran in Seattle, Washington.
Restoring confidence in air travel in Washington state.
Catherine Fiesta in Delano, California.
Disney cuts 28,000 jobs due to COVID-19.
And for EBC Sports, Julie Evangelista in Boston shares with us the King, LeBron James, take on the Miami Heat. The coverage begins now. First, an overview of the COVID-19 situation. According to the Coronavirus Resource Center of Johns Hopkins University in Medicine, as of 3 p.m. Eastern Time, Wednesday, September 30, the number of cases of COVID-19 reported worldwide is now more than 33,700,000. Top three countries with reported cases are U.S. with 7.2 million, India with 6.2 million, and Brazil has 4.7 million. The virus has now claimed more than 1 million lives worldwide. Top three countries with reported COVID-19 related deaths. U.S. has more than 206,000, Brazil more than 142,000, and India has more than 97,000. 2 out of 3 people fear the worst of COVID-19's health impacts. This is according to a recent poll in Canada. Joining us this evening is Alberta Bureau Chief Thomas Lightness. Tom, let's hear more about this survey. What else did they find out?
Okay, well, good evening, Ace. First of all, it seems that we Canadians are just a bunch of Debbie Downers, at least when it comes to COVID-19. Now, where does that conclusion come from? It's in the latest poll from the Angus Reid Institute. The Institute took the pulse of the nation on the issue of the pandemic. These numbers are recent. The poll was taken just last week from Wednesday to about Friday. And it reveals that 2 out of 3 people who they asked fear the worst of the health impacts from COVID-19 are yet to come. Now, compared to back in June, it was the reverse. Two-thirds then thought the worst was over. But yeah, things kind of flipped around again. And now 70% say they're concerned about being infected with the virus, up from 46% in June. As far as the economy, 73% figure the worst is yet to come in their province. How did they feel back in June? Well, only half felt that way. But on a bright note, when asked to describe their mental health, 3/4 said it was good or great. So I guess it's all in how you look at things. But those struggling with mental health issues, they tended to be younger people and, of course, women. About women caring for their children and family and other family members said their mental health was bad or terrible just from all of that stress. And 1/3 of those under the age of 35 say they also suffer from anxiety. Well, despite the numbers, I'm going to consider the glass half full. Things will get better, and in the meantime, I wish you all good health. Remember to take care of yourselves, take care of others, stay home, stay safe, and stay tuned to Eagle News for accurate and balanced coverage of the COVID-19 pandemic and other current affairs. In Edmonton, Canada, Thomas I. Likeness, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Tom, you said 2/3 of the sample fear the worst is yet to come with regards to the impact of the pandemic. What factors are being considered here?
A couple of things have happened. We've had a recent increase in cases across the country, particularly in Quebec and Ontario, the two provinces that were worst hit in the first wave of the pandemic. And they've actually come out and said, their public health people have said, we're in the second wave. Then we had our Prime Minister going on the air in a nationwide address saying the country is, at least the four major provinces of the country, are in a second wave. That tended to be more of a political address than a public health one. And I think these things kind of factored in. People are now believing we're in a second wave. So how can things get better when we're at the beginning of a second wave? A lot of it, I think, is just the psychological effect of those two things.
It is indeed alarming. After hearing, you said according to the poll, 70% fear they will get infected now versus a couple months ago. Does this mean the people is diminishing their trust in how the government is handling the pandemic?
I think a lot of it is there is an element in society that tends not to social distance, tends to resist wearing masks, tends to resist the warnings not to socialize. And of course, although I may take all the precautions that are recommended, if I run across somebody in my travels throughout the day that doesn't, and they happen to be a carrier, I could become infected. And I think that's the fear there.
I agree. Well, thank you so much for your report, Tom. Be safe, okay?
Okay, you take care, Ace.
When we come back, updates from our correspondents in Washington, D.C., Swarthmore, Pennsylvania, and Sicklerville, New Jersey. Eagle News America will return after this break.
Hello there, I'm Alfred, and I'm a graduate of Bachelor of Science in Computer Science, batch of 2008 in New Era University. I'm currently working as an operations analyst in Autodesk.
Hi, I'm Earl Escanio, and I graduated with Bachelor of Science major in Computer Science in 2010. I am a consultant at Trinity Consulting, LLC.
Hi, I'm Ivy Macapagal, Bachelor's in Computer Science graduate, year 2010. I'm currently working as a cybersecurity analyst in one of the largest telco here in New Zealand, Coast Park, NZ.
I'm Jofran David Riego, a BS Computer Science graduate here in 2015. As a legal analyst, I am tasked with US cases, specifically civil torts cases.
I am Melanie Rico Hermosa P., a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science graduate, year 2006.
I'm currently a software quality assurance engineer at FBI Systems here in Maryland, United States.
Hi, I'm Renzo Cruz. I'm a graduate of BS Computer Science, year 2012. I'm currently working abroad, and I'm working as a senior cybersecurity consultant who specializes in digital forensics and incident response. And I am part of a national security in one of the countries here in the Middle East.
I am inviting everyone to study at New Era University. To legit, to grit.
Be brilliant in the new era.
Study now at New Era University.
Excellence,
Discipline,
Service to humanity.
watching Eagle News America. I'm Ace Ramirez in Washington, D.C. In what is being called a, I quote, not so presidential first debate last night between President Donald Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden, mixed reactions have been drawn. In Washington, D.C., I'm Lynn Ramos, who joins us this evening.
Thank you, Ace. It was a circus of the presidentiables last night at the first of three scheduled debates between President Donald Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. Members of the media used words such as feisty, chaotic, disastrous, and an embarrassment to describe what they witnessed. Republican presidential candidate Donald J. Trump and Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden faced off in this first debate, which was moderated by Fox News host Chris Wallace. During the 90-minute debate, they were able to touch on some of the issues facing American voters in November. The issues included risk of mail-in voting fraud, Trump's economic record, Trump's tax returns, Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, the administration's coronavirus response, white supremacy, and the ongoing protests happening around the country. Biden's debate performance shined brighter according to Snap polls. A CBS sampling said 1,039 likely voters who watched the debate had Biden edging Trump by 48% to 41%. Interestingly enough, 69% of those surveyed said that the debate left them annoyed, another word to describe last night's showdown. As reported on MSNBC, Simone Sanders, who is a part of the Biden campaign, called Trump's performance despicable. Trump, on the other hand, had his own comments on the debate. He said in his Twitter account earlier today, quote, "Chris had a tough night. 2-on-1 was not surprising, but fun. Many important points made, like throwing Bernie, AOC +3, and the rest. To the wolves. Radical left is dumping Sleeping Joe. Zero Democrat enthusiasm, weak leadership." There was such a wide variety of reactions to this presidential debate. Republicans claim that President Trump won the debate, while the Democrats would argue that Biden emerged the winner. But it would be up to the viewers to decide for themselves who actually won the debate. It appears that this first debate won't really change the minds of many. Hopefully, the second and third debate will be more substantive and will allow us to make clear distinctions between the candidates and will allow us to really understand what their positions are on a variety of issues. The next debate is scheduled to be held on October 15 in Miami, Florida, and the final debate on October 22 in Nashville, Tennessee. In Washington, D.C., I'm Lynn Bondoc Ramos, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Talking about that debate, I personally found it amusing and entertaining at the same time. It was indeed unique and fascinating, something we've never seen before, so to speak. Was there any talk about the election result and how each candidate would guarantee a peaceful transfer of power should either one of them lose?
Yes, Ace, thank you for that question. As the debate was coming to an end, Chris Wallace asked both men if they would pledge to honor the results. Well, President Trump stated, quote, "We might not know for months." And he also said, "This is not going to end well. I'm urging my supporters to go into the polls and watch very carefully." Former Vice President Biden, on the other hand, pledged to respect the results after all the ballots are counted. He said, I quote, "That will be the end of it. And if it's me, fine. If it's not me, I will support the outcome." Well, interesting, so to say, Ace.
It's very contrasting in their point of view and how to deal with the results of this election. Thank you so much for your report, Aimelin.
Thank you for having me, Ace.
The Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture and the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, Mid-Atlantic region team up to support measures in sustaining healthy farms, clean water, and food security. In Swarthmore, Bureau Chief Myla Simbulan joins us this evening. Myla?
Thanks, Ace. The Pennsylvania Secretary of Department of Agriculture, Russell Redding, and U.S. Environmental Protection Agency Northeast Regional Administrator Cosmo Servideo signed a 5-year letter of understanding formalizing the agency's joint commitment to supporting measures to sustain healthy farms, clean water, and food security for the region's future. Officials signed the agreement at Worth the Wait Farms in Stevens, Lancaster County, with agricultural leaders from across the Mid-Atlantic. Here's Pennsylvania Secretary of the Department of Agriculture, Russell Redding, to tell us more about it. Take a look.
The agreement that we will sign today will expand the efforts of individual farms like the Landises that demonstrate this culture of stewardship every day. Pennsylvania farmers have an unspoken covenant to improve the land and water, to be good stewards. That's the covenant. But they do it to ensure that future generations will have access to the land and clean water and, of course, healthy food.
The agreement expands activities to prioritize funding, coordinate regulatory programs, recognize farmers for environmental stewardship, and enhance opportunities for a dialogue with the agriculture community. The agreement reiterates Pennsylvania's commitment to continued efforts, including the Pennsylvania Farm Bill, a historic $23 million investment in growing and sustaining the Commonwealth's agriculture industry, which was modeled after Governor Wolf's 6-point plan to cultivate future generations of Pennsylvania agriculture. The bill supports business development and succession planning, creates accommodations for a growing animal agriculture sector, removes regulatory burdens, strengthens the agriculture workforce, protects infrastructure, and works toward making Pennsylvania the nation's leading organic state. The Farm Bill created a $2.5 million Conservation Excellence Grant Program, which funds on-farm measures that reduce erosion and runoff, improving soil and water quality to ultimately sustain agriculture and improve the region's quality of life. Examples include fencing to keep livestock out of streams, stream bank restoration, cover crops, planted streamside buffers to filter nutrients out of streams, manure storage, and comprehensive plans to manage nutrients, control erosion, and conserve soil and water. The Landis family's farm, called Worth the Wait Farms, was chosen for today's announcement in celebration of conservation measures they have taken on their 7th-generation dairy farm. During the event, American Dairy Association Northeast CEO Rick Natsy recognized the Landis family for their environmental stewardship with the organization's Dairying for Tomorrow Award. Here's Chris Landis, owner of Worth the Wait Farms.
Conserving our natural resources here, you know, this is something we can't make any more of farmland, especially the #1 non-irrigated soil in the country that we have here in Lancaster County. And we want to make sure that we're sustainable and profitable, and that we ensure that this is here for future generations.
Dairying Tomorrow recognizes local dairy farmers and showcases the unique actions they take on and off the farm to help sustain and improve the dairy industry. In Swarthmore, Pennsylvania, Myla Simbulan, Eagle News. Will live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Myla, tell us more about the letter of understanding. What else does this entail?
So, that 5-year letter of understanding outlines the two agents' commitment to coordinate and leverage the federal, state, and private funding to support agriculture conservation practices and innovative approaches to advancing sustainable agriculture and environmental protection. Ace?
All right, thank you so much for your report, Myla. Coming up, more updates from our correspondents in Sicklerville, New Jersey, Pensacola, Florida, and Houston, Texas. Eagle News America will be right back.
Impormasyong mahalaga sa taong bayan. Patas na pagbabalita. Papakinggan ang magkabilang panig. Lilinawin ang mga isyu at kaagad ihahatid ng objektibo. Mata ng Agila. Dumatagit ng pinakasariwang pangyayari di lamang sa loob ng bansa, kundi sa iba't ibang panig ng daigdig. Mula sa Eagle News Teams at sa tulong ng makabagong teknolohiya, tiyak na makakalap kaagad ang katotohanan para sa matalas, malinaw at malalimang pagbabalita. Ito ang mas pinatalas na mata ng Agila. Inihahatid ng veteranong broadcast journalist na si Eli Saludar kasama si Judith Liamera at pinangungunahan ng batikang mamamahayag ng bansa, Vic De Leon Lima. Mata ng Agila, Lunes hanggang Biyernes, alas 6 hanggang alas 8 ng gabi, simula October 5, dito sa Net 25.
Anong unang gagawin mo pag umiyak? Iyak. Will you, ano?
Pag makita kita sa barangay Agila, pag makabalik ka, hindi ko alam.
Mapapatalong ka ba papunta sa akin? Tatakbo ka ba?
Grabe naman.
Yayakapin mo ba kagad ako?
Ako, pagalitan pa ako ni Mommy G. Sabi niya, "Uy, ikaw ha, iring-iring ka." Iring-iring. Oo, sabi, "Ikaw ha?" Ganyan.
Halimbawa,
pagalitan ako ni Mommy G. Siyempre, yakapin kita. Oh. Karding!
Gaano kahigpit?
Kaya lang, galing ka pa ng ano, di ba? Dubai, Karding!
Hindi, siyempre, nakaligo na. Ikaw naman.
Ang COVID!
Siyempre, nakaligo na ako niya. Pag pumunta ako sa'yo, mabango na ako.
Nag-quarantine ka muna.
Kumanta, sumaya tayong lahat. Saya.
Welcome back. You are watching Eagle News America. I'm Ace Ramirez in Washington, D.C. In New Jersey, there have been close to a dozen verified COVID-19 outbreaks linked to in-school transmission, resulting in more than 40 cases. What is the state's Department of Health doing to mitigate the spread? And Sicklerville Eagle News correspondent Meg Ann Manzano-Garzon has the answers.
Thank you, Ace. The Department of Health of New Jersey today unveiled a new dashboard to report in-school COVID-19 transmission. Details were presented by Health Commissioner Judy Percy-Kelly in today's daily COVID-19 press briefing. Take a look.
As I mentioned last week, the local health departments are conducting investigations of cases connected to schools to determine if they are related to in-school transmission. Local health departments are able to determine if a case is associated with in-school transmission by interviewing the individuals who tested positive about where they've been and who they have been in close contact with, and to identify a connection between cases. Today we are updating our dashboard with statistics on confirmed outbreaks associated with in-school transmission, those that are reported to the department. An outbreak is considered 2 or more laboratory-confirmed COVID-19 cases among students or staff with onsets within a 14-day period, which are epidemiologically linked within the school setting, do not share a household, and were not identified as close contacts of each other in another setting during case investigation or contact tracing.
In-school transmission is considered the transmission of the virus between students and/or school staff that occurs on school property in the context of academic activities. Furthermore, Commissioner Percy Kelly stated in her report that currently there are 11 confirmed outbreaks linked to in-school transmission that have been verified by the local health department. The outbreaks are in 11 different schools, and there are 43 cases linked to these 11 outbreaks. Meanwhile, here is today's statistical report of New Jersey's COVID-19 cases. According to the Department of Health of New Jersey, there are 722 new positive cases reported today, bringing a statewide total of 205,275 New Jerseyans tested positive. Sadly, we have 9 new deaths, pushing the total to 14,335 fatalities. New Jersey remains on stage 2 of its road to recovery. And for some weather update, Ace, it's currently 10:08 in the evening here in New Jersey, and it's currently clear. It is 59 degrees Fahrenheit or 15 degrees Celsius. The high today was forecast as 71 degrees Fahrenheit or 22 degrees Celsius. In Sicklerville, New Jersey, May and Manzano Garzon, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Mayan, what does the New Jersey Department of Health recommend for schools to respond to cases and outbreaks?
Yes, Ace, a couple of these recommendations from the Department of Health to guide the schools in making their decisions are the following. If there is one confirmed case in a school, the school can remain open, and any student or staff in close contact with that one case are excluded from the school for a period of 14 days. And if there are 2 or more cases in the same classroom, the school can remain open. Any close contacts to the case are excluded from the school for 14 days. And local health officials should make a recommendation whether or not the whole class is exposed. For a complete list of these recommendations, Ace, we may visit covid19.nj.gov. Ace?
Thank you so much, Mayan. When disaster strikes and properties are damaged or destroyed, one thing that keeps together those affected is the assurance that help is available. And most of the time, the most immediate help one can count on is that from your neighbors. In Pensacola, Summer Esguerra shares with us how communities there banded together at a time of catastrophe. Summer.
Almost 2 weeks after Hurricane Sally pummeled through Florida's Panhandle and Alabama, communities are just returning to normalcy. Pensacola residents recount their experience and share the importance of communities coming together.
When Hurricane Sally came in, everybody thought it was going the wrong direction. So we assumed the best case scenario. Unfortunately, it came right at us. It's created a lot of wind and disruption.
Well, the experience with Hurricane Sally it lasted forever. A normal hurricane lasts about 2 hours when it comes to wind, but the wind and the rain, it like it never ended.
It was underestimated first by the weather conditions, by the news media itself here in our local area. So everybody was expecting it to be a Category 1, and it actually came in stronger than a Category 1. We lost power for 5 days. We had some damage done to our home. We lost our fence, and we lost some tiles on our roof. But overall, the important thing is that we all stayed safe.
If it wasn't for the community coming together, we would not have come out of it as soon as we did. Thanks to the emergency response to the local area, especially when they brought in 700 electrical trucks from 25 different states, restored power to all the residents of Pensacola. So my hat's off to all the linemen that did their job. When a community comes together, you almost can't describe it, you know? It's a blessing.
It's always good to see different organizations that come together in different communities, being churches or our local establishments that are here. Good neighbors, as we all say, it's good to have good neighbors, and we have good community church neighbors that help the people here that are in need of just food or water or some sort of comfort, clothing. I can see as we drive around, because I'm a mailman as a carrier, I can see that a lot of people are helping each other out in different neighborhoods, like, for example, cutting down trees, clearing out the yards, especially for the elderly. We would see that being done a lot as for the elderly. So when disaster happens, you know, setting aside whatever your beliefs are or political affiliation or anything, the important thing is that we all come and help each other as human beings and good people.
In Pensacola, Florida, Summer Esguerra, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
Thank you, Summer. In an effort to reduce the jail population for nonviolent offenders, decrease time processing jail procedures, and improve police response times, Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner authorizes a cite and release policy. The city also celebrates National Literacy Month with a drive-up book distribution. Joining us tonight with these stories is Eagle News correspondent Jessica Isidro in Houston. Jessica.
Thank you, Ace, and howdy from the Lone Star State. Starting Tuesday, September 29th, instead of arresting individuals for certain Class A and Class B misdemeanors, Houston police officers will be issuing citations. Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner signed Executive Order number 1-68 on Monday, authorizing the City of Houston to join Harris County's Cite and Release program, which aims to reduce the jail population for nonviolent offenders, to decrease the time it takes to process jail procedures, and to improve police response times. Under this new policy, Class A and B misdemeanors are eligible for tickets instead of jail time. Mayor Turner stated, "Cite and release is a more humane way to handle low-level offenders because the program allows them to face responsibility for their actions without the stain of an arrest or serving jail time, and that it is the equivalent of being given a second chance on the spot, as long as the suspected offender meets the requirements for cite and release and complies with the rules." Houston Police Chief Art Acevedo stated, "This is not a matter of getting soft on crime, it's about getting smart on crime." Meanwhile, in honor of National Literacy Month, the Mayor's Office for Adult Literacy, also known as MOLE, celebrated its one-year anniversary by hosting a drive-up for literacy book distribution. Mayor Turner joined Houston Public Library employees, including Director Dr. Ria Lawson and its staff, Citgo Petroleum Corporation's Thomas Coleman, and MOLE Director Federico Salas Isnardi, to distribute 35,000 books. The Molina Foundation donated a Book Buddies grant to make the distribution possible as part of its Families Learning Together campaign. The project is a national initiative to encourage literacy and reading skills over the summer and during back-to-school season amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. According to Mayor Turner, access to these books will help create word-rich communities in Houston that are healthy and complete. As the country's only mayoral office for literacy advocacy, MOLE serves as an example of economic impact through service and has received recognition from the National Coalition on Adult Basic Education. Over 10,740 books have already been reserved across 21 providers around Houston. Houston Public Library and MOLE will distribute books to literacy providers on a first-come, first-served basis until the donation is exhausted. Mayor Turner stated, "I want to congratulate the MOLE on its anniversary of advocating for equitable and fair access to literacy skills. This pandemic demonstrates that we need literate adults and families to tackle a health crisis affecting our communities. A city's health and economic strength are determined by the resilience of its families and neighborhoods." In Houston, Texas, I'm Jessica Isidro, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Jessica, let me ask you, do you feel safe with the reduction in jail time? So these bad elements, well, not all of them are bad elements, but they'll be joining the society, the community.
Well, you know, I barely leave my house, so in terms of being within the community, I don't feel any different. But, you know, going out already amidst the pandemic, I'm already on edge. Assuming that they're non-violent offenders, just like the policy says, I don't feel too bad, you know.
That's good to know. I'm pretty sure there will be strict filters to be implemented before this takes place. But speaking of National Literacy Month, what are some of your most favorite books?
Well, I am a huge fan of fantasy books, so at the top of my list has to be Harry Potter. I also am a huge fan of the Divergent series. And then currently I'm trying to work on Crazy Rich Asians. I haven't had time to, but here and there I try to in my free time.
Thanks for sharing, Jessica. Reports from Everett in Seattle, Washington, Delano, California, and UBC Sports. That's next. We will return shortly. Stay with us. This is Eagle News America.
The New Era University, in its 45th year of excellence, discipline, and service to humanity, will offer online education all levels beginning this first semester academic year 2020 to 2021 through the NEU Virtual Learning Environment, or NEU VLE. New Era University offers a complete basic education cycle from kindergarten up to senior high school, offering all strands. NEU has 18 colleges, and 2 graduate schools. It also offers ALS and ETI. Best of all, NEU has the most affordable tuition fees among private universities in the Philippines. NEU is at Quezon City, the city of San Fernando, Pampanga, General Santos City, South Cotabato, Lipa City, Batangas, and Pinugay, Baras, Rizal.
New Era University is under the stewardship of Dr. Dilo L. Rosas.
What are you waiting for? Be part of the new normal. Enroll now. Classes start on October 5, 2020.
Innovation, digital disruption, globalization. Startups, micro, small, and medium enterprises, as well as large corporations, all face interesting challenges in the market today. Peek into the world of exciting opportunities and partnerships to drive growth with the latest business news and information. We are open for business. Join the conversations to create a more vibrant environment for entrepreneurship. Catch Open for Business every Saturday from 5 to 6 p.m. Open for Business, from vision to action.
Alamin ang mga pangunahing balita at impormasyon sa loob ng bansa. Maging sa ipayong dagat, sa Agila, Pilipinas, Samahan ang batikang broadcaster na si Angelo Palmones sa isang oras na programa kasama ang mabibilis at matatalas na correspondents mula sa Luzon, Visayas at Mindanao, gayon din sa ibayong dagat. Agila, Pilipinas, Lunes hanggang Biyernes, alas 11 ng umaga hanggang alas 12 ng tanghali, dito sa Net25. Mapapanood din ng live sa eaglenews.ph at Eagle News Facebook page. Agila, Pilipinas.
Accurate and fair reporting. Not only from Batanes to Tawi-Tawi, but also abroad. Detailed and timely stories relevant to people all over the world. Catch all of these at Net25, your reliable source of news, entertainment, and technology updates.
The search for the best continues. Tagisan ng Galing Part 2 is now accepting audition entries. Kung ikaw ay 21 to 59 years old at may angking galing sa pagkanta, mapa-solo, duet, trio o banda man, magpadala na ng audition entry. Narito ang mga guidelines. Para makapagpasa ng entry sa singing category, contact Nikki sa 0977-651-9504. Ito na ang pagkakataon mo para maging tagisan ng galing grand winner at manalo ng 2 million pesos. Para sa karagdagang impormasyon, i-like ang Tagisan ng Galing Facebook page. Kaya sali na!
This is Eagle News America. I'm Ace Ramirez in Washington, D.C. We have both not-so-cool news and a very cool one from Washington tonight. The evergreen state is experiencing record-high temperatures, but fret not, Washingtonians, because a possible sighting of the aurora borealis is on your horizon. Michael Hudson has the details.
Thanks a lot, Ace. As of right now, the current COVID-19 numbers for the state of Washington are 91,022 positive cases with 2,219 deaths. With that being said, the forecast within the next week here in the state of Washington will be hotter than normal, with temperatures hitting the low 80s. According to the state forecasters, this is only the 7th time within the last 75 years that the state has seen high temperatures such as this. Clear skies will be the primary focus this week, as a possible aurora borealis sighting may take place later this evening. If you don't know what the aurora borealis is, it's a geomagnetic storm phenomenon that causes a multitude of colors to litter the sky at nighttime, giving the sky a very festive and majestic feel. Generally, the best places to see the northern lights is at, you guessed it, the northern parts of the planet's hemisphere, like Alaska or northern parts of Canada. As for Washington state in general, the best way to see the aurora borealis is to be in a secluded area that's far away from the city lights. Other parts of the United States, such as Minnesota, New York, Wisconsin, and Montana, will be able to see this wonderful sighting as well. This phenomenon is just one of very few positive notes right now, as the entire world continues to battle through this pandemic, especially with the winter months coming just around the corner. Reporting from Seattle, Washington, I'm Michael Hudson, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Thank you, Michael. 28,000 Disney employees are being let go as the looming pandemic has not given any indication of ending anytime soon. More than 60% of those being laid off consist of part-time hourly workers. In Delano, Eagle News correspondent Catherine Fiesta has the details.
Thank you, Ace. Disney cuts 28,000 jobs due to COVID-19. By Josh D'Amaro, chairman of Disney Parks, Experiences, and Products, announced the elimination of 28,000 jobs from its U.S. Parks and Experiences division due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Disney had managed to continue to pay health benefits to furloughed cast members since April, but according to D'Amaro, the continued uncertainty regarding the duration of the pandemic is one of the contributing factors compelling them to reduce personnel. In its latest quarterly reporting, Disney recorded losses to the tune of $4.7 billion, and while that figure represents, among other things, such as delays of movie releases and closures of theme parks around the world, it is California's coronavirus restrictions that seem to have drawn much of Disney's ire. It's no secret that since March of this year, the Disneyland theme park and Disneyland California Adventure Park in Anaheim have remained closed. In an effort to expedite the reopening of its theme parks, Disney has been vigorously lobbying state officials to ease the restrictions. But after months of petitioning with very little to show for it, Disney is making the move to cut positions. Among the 28,000 employees impacted, 67% would consist of part-time employees. In a memo to employees, D'Amaro said that, as heartbreaking as it is to take this action, this is the only feasible option we have in light of the prolonged impact of COVID-19 on our business, including limited capacity due to physical distancing requirements. In Delano, California, Catherine Fiesta, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Catherine, given that there's a huge amount, a decrease in workforce in Disney, you mentioned that Disney has postponed their movie releases. What are the chances that we'll see a Disney movie in the near future in an actual theater or instead of Disney Plus?
Ace, your mention of Disney Plus is actually really good timing because the void left by theater closures has at least partially been filled with the release of adaptations such as Mulan and Hamilton on Disney's streaming service. But talking about theatrical releases, Disney has announced that highly anticipated films such as Black Widow and Eternals is slated for a 2020 release. So moviegoers who are itching for a Marvel flick will definitely have to tough it out until next year.
Okay, thank you so much, Catherine. One industry hugely impacted by the pandemic is travel. Countries, states, cities have greatly decreased services, while others have completely closed airports in compliance with COVID-19 restrictions aimed to mitigate the spread of the virus. However, as these restrictions ease, travel and tourism are slowly getting back on their feet, just like in Washington State. How safely is this being done? Bureau Chief Frendel Fejeran joins us this evening for the answers. Frendel?
Thank you, Ace. Allow me to give a brief description of one of the biggest airports in the U.S., Seattle-Tacoma International Airport, also known as SeaTac Airport. Straight from portseattle.org, Seattle-Tacoma International Airport, also known as SCA, is the largest transportation hub in our 5-state region and one of the region's largest job sites. SeaTac Airport is a home to more than 200 businesses and an essential asset for all of Washington's key industries, generating about $3.6 billion in direct earnings. Now, change started to unfold once COVID-19 struck our state back in January. Air travel normalcy took a hit once stay-at-home was issued back in March 2020. However, SeaTac Airport, being one of the fine examples, never ceased to draw back from their goals, which were in fact redefined as Fly Healthy at SCA goals, which are 1, maintain a safe and healthy airport environment, 2, restore customer confidence in air travel, 3, Third, confidence for airport-wide employees, tenants, and contractors. 4, renew enthusiasm for travel. 5, return passenger volumes and economic vitality. 6, position for future public health emergencies. With these goals in mind, SCA was able to take passenger feedback and allow it to help drive their strategies in implementing state guidelines. So what were the main concerns of the passengers? From airports cancel international COVID-19 recovery and passenger expectations May 2020, the top 4 locations travelers are concerned about coming into contact with COVID-19 at an airport is 1, on the plane, which is 54%, security checkpoint, 48%, other passengers, 41%, restrooms, 39%. So what exactly is being done to address these concerns, and at the same time, what is being implemented to stay in line with the updated standard, the commercial service airport requirements? Now, during Governor Inslee's press conference a couple of days ago, Governor Inslee announced the new statewide baseline standard, which includes additional safety steps from Delta Airlines, Alaska Airlines, and the Port of Seattle. This standard encompasses implementation of the baseline requirements at each commercial passenger service airport and strongly encourages the airlines to have certain health screening questionnaires regarding potential COVID-19 symptoms or exposure, and to require passengers to agree and comply with the wearing of face coverings and to practice physical distancing in order to be issued a boarding pass. What are the other requirements? Face coverings in the airport, signage and spacing for physical distancing, protective barriers between travelers and workers, sanitizer and disinfectant protocols, and that airport vendors and businesses follow state and county health agency requirements. Seattle, Washington, Friends Alpha Heron, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
It must have taken an incredible team to devise a safety plan then. Do you happen to know what the subcommittees were formed?
Yes, thank you so much for that question, Ace. So the SCA Recovery Committee is actually a cross-airport team of 6 subcommittees, which is Health, Public Policy and Advocacy, SCA Business Partners, Traveling Public Communications, Customer Feedback, and Terminal and Landslide Customer Experience. And I actually wanted to highlight Traveling Public Communications because communication is key to turn crisis to confidence. So I wanted to touch base on what the things that this committee was able to do. They've done frequent press releases, media briefings, interviews, and updates as needed. They have blogs, they have vlogs, they have videos, they have tours, they have feedback, they have newsletters, and what they're going to continue to do is continue to communicate with the people. They're going to actually launch an SCA consumer newsletter, and they're going to have paid advertising in international services. Ace?
I agree. Information is gold. You know, in terms of frequency and supplies, what could you say about the level of cleanliness they have there at the SeaTac airport?
All right. So I'm glad I had this in front of me. It's incredible how many hours they put into cleaning, which is 5,720 hours spent cleaning and disinfecting the buses and terminal at SCA each week. Frequent disinfection with EPA-approved medical-grade cleaning products, which is great. Emphasis on high-touch areas such as buttons, handrails, and counters. They contract for additional checkboard deep cleaning to be completed 2020. And Ace, that's just a few of what they are doing. There's a lot more to that. Ace?
Wow. Did you say 5,000 hours?
Yes. Isn't that amazing? Super clean.
I think that's enough hours, enough time for you to pertain so much attention on details.
Right, right. Exactly.
That's a good plan. Well, we were talking about favorite books earlier in celebration of the Literacy Month. What's your favorite book, may I ask?
I don't have a favorite book, but I have a favorite genre, Ace, and that is personal development. And a few of my favorite authors is John C. Maxwell, Stephen Covey, and T.J. Hoisington, which I had a privilege of meeting in person one day, which was very inspiring. So I love to read a lot about self-help. Ace?
I love Maxwell as well. Well, thank you so much for your report, Brenda.
Thank you, Ace.
The off-season saw a major shift of power in the NBA. As the league resumed, it dealt not only with the pandemic concerns, but also with social issues. And now the culmination of the season is at hand, with the talent-filled LA Lakers facing the red-hot Miami Heat for the distinction to be called champions. As the series begins, ABC correspondent Julianne Evangelista gives us LeBron James' take on the Miami Heat.
LeBron James has nothing but respect for the Miami Heat as he and the LA Lakers are getting ready to face his former team in the finals. The King on Tuesday spoke about the lessons he learned during his 4-year stint with the Heat, plus how his former coach, Eric Spoelstra, deserves more respect.
I think as far as leadership, that grows no matter where you are every day. If you want to be a leader, if you strive to be a leader every day. I think being around, Riles and Spo, D Wade and UD, and just to name a few, being a part of that culture allowed me to grow, allowed me to see, what it takes to not only compete for a championship, but also to win a championship. So it definitely, put me in a position where I knew what it took. I saw what it took. But also, I fit that culture as well because of how hard I worked. So it was a perfect match for those 4 years. And the players and the coaches know how great Spo is. And there's this narrative that Spo is not great, and the narrative that he doesn't get a lot of respect, which he should. He prepares his team every single night. If you just watch the Miami Heat, no matter who's out on the floor, they're going to play Heat culture. They're going to play hard. They're going to play together. That's what he's always been about. Probably is great because it's preparation. He prepares like it's his last time ever coaching again every game, and I know that.
Tune in to Eagle News for highlights on the NBA Finals between the Heat and the Lakers. In Boston, Massachusetts,